We are looking at Meg's butterfly above the water. Commentary by Coach Chris. First thing we're going to do is run it through at regular speed just to see how her stroke is flowing. Now, Meg has a real nice high body position on that butterfly. That's the first thing that kind of stands out. The other thing that really stands out is as her hands enter, you're seeing a lot of splash up front. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So I can see a lot of the stuff that we've been working on. Her timing with her breathing and her timing with her kick is getting pretty solid. And that's always a good sign. So let's get to a few positions here where we can kind of see what's going on. If you watch as she approaches, we're going to watch her breathing. She does a better job into the wall than she does out. But she's getting her head up at the beginning of her catch. And that's really important. So we're going to watch this. See her get her head up right here, leading the catch. Head up first. Right, real early on that catch, she gets the head up for that breath. So that looks really, really good, especially on his first lap when we're swimming in. Now when she comes off the wall, we're going to see a little bit of a delay. She's going to keep the head up a little too long. And we'll watch for it here. This is the timing that breaks down with a lot of the kids at this age and at her level. So you're going to see her head gets up early. And right there's a perfect shot. So we're going to frame back. And we can see how far out front her hands are getting while her head's still up. So Meg's doing a really good job of getting her head up as she's swimming and getting her head up early. And when she's not taking a breath, her stroke looks pretty solid. But when she's taking the breath, the first thing that breaks down, just like we saw in this video, and you can watch it again. Let's get it going again. You know, the first thing that breaks down early on, she's doing a good job getting the head down early. Head up early. Head down early. See how that head's leading the hands down? That's what we're looking for. Head up, head's getting down, arms are coming over. Now watch this second half when she gets to the turn. The head's going to get up, and it's going to stay up too late. So she's no longer going to get that head down in time. And this is really what breaks down. And this is really what makes the butterfly difficult. You know, most kids can do it really well for a 25, 30, a 50, and then they get to that second half of the race and it really breaks down. And this is what's happening primarily. The head's not getting down. It breaks sync with the arm strokes. Let's go back to this one where it's really breaking down. It's like 2 strokes off the wall. Pause it. So here, this is a really good position. I mean, we can see the breath, nice and low, chin forward. It's all stuff we've been working on. So she's doing a really good job of adopting a lot of that stuff. You know, but even here, coming off that first breath, we can see the hands are getting in front of the shoulders, in front of the head. The head's not getting down in time. First lap in was spot on. Second lap out, head staying up. We're starting to break down that technique. And this is something we just keep going back to with drills over and over and over again. And this is the frames we're looking for. So her head's up early. That's what we want. And most kids that have a problem and they're really struggling with butterfly, they're not going to get that head up in time. Their head's going to be up late. Her head is getting up early, so that's not an issue. She's exiting a little bit wide. If we were to see her from the top, her arms would be exiting more like a V. And we prefer more like train tracks, more parallel with her body. So just kind of push through that Michael Phelps position. And that's also why she's not getting a lot of time on these strokes to get her head down. If you sweep the hands out early and sweep them out in that V pattern out the back, they're already starting to recover. You're not having that room in the back of the stroke to finish the breath. So that's part of it. We're not finishing all the way back. And the other part just being a little bit of a rush. I mean, here you can see her arm alignment's right on, so a lot of stuff going good. But we're just not getting the head down. Her eyes are on something. I think they're on spot where she sees she's going to be finished. But we're just letting the hands get way out in front. And this is a really bad position for that butterfly. Keeping that head up. So once the arms get underneath the chin and start sweeping forward and our head's still up, we cannot drive the kick. And if you look at the body position, just draw a line from her head all the way through her knees. I mean, she is in what we call a very vertical position. And so her center of gravity is straight up and down, or for swimming, very much straight up and down. And it's just going to start putting a tremendous strain on the kick, tremendous strain on the arms, so it gets harder to stay at the surface. And this is one of the reasons why we keep going back to drills to address this and try and get this timing down, because once they start getting vertical, once they start keeping the head up too long, the whole stroke breaks down from fatigue very, very quickly, especially later on in the race. So really key is to just keep working on those drills. You know, we do single double drill where you breathe on the double. That's a good timing drill. Even our single arm butterfly drills is a good timing drill for it. Try to keep things simple. I try to keep Meg, and we try to keep her focused on simple drills and giving her a simple goal for every drill. So really our single double drill is our key drill. Our 2-2-2 or one variation of that drill is what we use to kind of focus on that breathing. And we do that a lot. Usually do that drill every single butterfly night, because she is not alone in keeping that head up. In fact, even our better butterflyers in the group will break down at some point and start doing this. But let's go earlier in the stroke, because going in, she was doing things great, which is great because she's been working hard all year long last year. And I think she's really trying to focus on these drills. And I'm just seeing good timing on this half. So we can see, look, her head go up. We'll slow it down. You know, her non-breath stroke's great. I mean, that's exactly what we want on it. Kick timing is good. And that's a really good stroke right there. I mean, she's getting the head up early and getting the head down early. So going into the wall here, not really seeing a problem. The only thing I can really see with her stroke here is if we go back a little bit. And I was talking about that splash. Let's see if we can get a better shot. As we come in, you're going to see all this cross splash. And you can see all that splash up front. And part of that is just kind of how, it's partly because of her size. She just doesn't get the power out of her legs in order to really reach out over the water. So she's kind of chopping the hands down at an angle. So she's kind of chopping them down into the water. So she gets to about 3/4 of her recovery, and then she chops them down and in, because it's just, when you get into that straight over the head position and you're trying to keep the arms over the water, it's very, very, very tough on the muscles. So as she gets bigger and stronger, she'll have a better time cleaning up the front. So this stroke's not entirely wrong for her, but it's something to be cognizant of, because when we actually look at top end flyers, what you're going to see is a lot less splash. In fact, you'll see almost no splash at the front of the stroke. So it really is something to work on, is for her to try and clean up the front of the stroke. Let's see if we can get this going. There we go. And try and get as little splash as possible. And you can see the X pattern because her hands are sweeping in and chopping down. That's a characteristic of that. So, and what that's doing is it basically stirs up the water she's about to move through. So her whole body is passing through water. She's diving up and down, skipping like a stone, but she's passing through water. And the more that water is disturbed, the harder it is to move through. It's just more difficult to move through. So as she's slapping the water with those hands up front, she's making it harder for her to get through the water. And that's why butterflyers at the high end of the sport really focus on having as clean an entry up front as they possibly can. But again, that's not anything that she's able to really control at this age, but as she gets older, it's something for her to keep in mind as she works on it. So a few things with the breathing timing. Let's take a look underwater and see what we can see as far as the kick timing.